Alright, so I'm changing the plugs again on my 2012 Ram. Well, I'm not changing them. I changed the plugs once already, and I'm just going to take them back out and recheck the gaps and maybe widen the gaps a little bit, and torque them down correctly, because I found out what the torque specifications were. It's not in the owner's manual, but it's 13 foot-pounds or 156 inch-pounds of torque for each plug. So I'm going to recheck the gaps and torque them down to the proper specifications, because I just hand tightened them before. I made a video once and I don't think it turned out that great, so I'm going to do it again, get a little better shot of the spark plugs down there. I already took the coil packs off using a 10mm socket. Those are all off for one side. I'm going to do one side at a time. I like to lay a blanket over the front end, kind of, you know, you hold your tools on there and whatnot, and keep you from gouging your ribs when you're laying down on the engine. So hopefully you can see this better. I took all the coil packs off. There's 8 spark plugs down this side, and I'm gonna get to it. What I like to do is first I drop my 5/8 deep well socket down in the spark plug hole there. I take a stubby extension, a shorter extension. And these are 3/8 drive. I put it on there. As you can see, you're not going to lose your tools. You can still see the socket extender there. And then next I'll put on this elbow, or this pivot socket, which is a crucial piece. I do the back one first because they're generally the harder ones. Start from the hardest and go up to the easiest. And make sure you got this right. Alright. Put a socket on here. There we go. Loosen that up. And take the tools out in reverse order. Extender off. Take the elbow off. There. And just back out the spark plug. Alright, the spark plug's fully backed out. Extract my tools and to the next one. Now I'm gonna back all of them out, and then once I get them all backed out, I'll fish them out with a magnet. Kind of speeds up the process a little bit, doing it much like an assembly line instead of one at a time. Alright, that's an example of 2 plugs. That's the very back cylinder on the driver's side. I'm going to do the other 6 and I'll be back. Alright, so I backed out all the spark plugs, and now I'm going to go through with my little magnet. This is a handy tool for this job. It's basically a magnet on a little telescoping handle. I already took a couple plugs out. But basically, you just reach it, once you got all the plugs backed out, you reach a little magnet in there, and you pull them right out. And it's that simple. Alright, and there we go. That's all 8 plugs for the driver side. Now I'm going to recheck the gaps and we'll put them back in. Alright, I'm gapping my last spark plug for this side now. The owner's manual calls for 0.043 gap. These were a little short, so I didn't gap them enough. But I don't know if you noticed this or was wondering what that was. That's a hydrogen system that I'm experimenting with, and I'm going to push my gaps up to 0.05, right around 0.05, to try to get a bigger spark on my plugs, so it burns more of the fuel and hydrogen, and hopefully that'll give me more efficiency, because I couldn't find any. These are spark plugs from the dealership, which they're actually NKG spark plugs, but they were in a Mopar box. I wanted to get some copper core. The box on these says nickel, which I'm not sure if it still has a copper core with nickel in it or what the case is, but NKG's website, when I put in the vehicle make, model, year, and all that stuff, these are the plugs that they had on their website. These are the only ones they had, other than a set of platinum ones, which you don't want to run platinum with hydrogen because it just doesn't burn hot enough. So basically these are the only choice I had from NKG anyway, and I think Champion was the same way. So I'm not sure what the deal is, but I'm just going to widen up the gap here just over 0.05. Alright, I've gapped all my spark plugs. One thing you do, I already coated these with anti-seize because I just put them in the other day, but I'm going to put another light coat on all of them. This is anti-seize. It keeps the plugs from basically melting inside there, the threads, so when you go to take them out again, they'll be easier to get out. I'm going to put another light coat of this on, and then we'll throw them back in there. Now with this anti-seize, you don't really need a whole lot. These plugs have already been coated once. I kind of put a nice thick coat on them the first time I put them in, but it doesn't take much, I don't think. It's a nice little dot on your finger and just rub the threads through it there. Alright, so I'm going to place my plugs all back up here. Alright. So, alright, we're about to drop these plugs back in the motor here. And I got them sitting over here, nice and easy to access. Now when you drop them in here, you don't want to just let them fall, because then you could mess up the gap you just took the time to make sure it's correct. So I kind of like to keep a finger on it and just ease it in as far as I can get it. You can really go all the way down until you feel it set in there with your finger. That one's set. Now I'm being super careful with these because I've already bent these spark plugs back and forth, so the metal is probably not as strong as it should be between the gap. That top piece of metal sit in there. Damn it. And last one. Alright, so spark plugs back in. Now, I'm just going to repeat the process as we did taking them out. Drop our socket in. Our short extender. Screw it in by hand. Alright, now as far as torque specifications, there's no specification in the owner's manual. When I went down to the auto parts store to get this torque wrench, I asked the guy if they had any information on torque specifications or whatnot, and he opened up, I think it was a Haynes manual. It was actually pretty cool. He opened it up for me and looked up the specs for the torque on these, and it's 156 inch-pounds of torque, which to get foot-pounds you just divide that by 12 and it gives you 13. So it's 13 foot-pounds of torque or 156 inch-pounds. I happen to got a inch-pound torque wrench at 3/8, so I have it set already to 156. Tighten it up. And we're going to tighten this first one down. Probably go ahead and tighten that a lot more. Oh, no wonder. I was loosening it back up. I'm a retard. Yeah. Alright, so here we go again. That didn't feel right for some reason. I'm gonna try one of these front plugs where I can get to it a little better. See how that feels. So it's actually 156 foot-pounds. I mean, inch-pounds is tighter than I had them before. And there we go. So that's it. Wrench is clicking. Alright, good. Alright, so that's good. Now I'm going to go back to the rear one. Hit that again. It felt like it was almost over-tightening. Alright, so there we go. It's clicking. Alright, good. So, that's that. I'm going to go ahead and cut camera and finish up the remaining 6 cylinders. Alright, got all the plugs tightened down, torqued down correctly. I feel a lot better about it now, this installation. Now that the plugs are gapped more appropriately and torqued down to the right specification. Another thing about the torque wrench, if you already have one, use the one you have, but if you're going to buy one for this project, I wouldn't recommend getting one that's too long of a handle, because what I found was, even with this one, This one's about, I don't know, 10 inches or so, 12 maybe. It was still kind of tight to get into some places, so just keep that in mind. Putting on the last coil pack now. Basically you just slide these back in over the plugs, and I like letting them rest on the plug and just kind of wiggling it down on there. Make sure it seats correctly on the plug. After you got them all back in, throw your 2 screws in each of them, plug the harness back up, and that side's done. I'm not going to continue the video for the other side because it's basically the same. I'm just going to remove my air intake pipe here and do the other side. The other side is pretty easy, except for that back one's kind of tough to get to, but it's no harder than the ones on this side. So I hope that was informative. I'm going to check out the video and see if you can actually see the holes better over the first one that I did, but hope that helps out. Alright, so I'm 100% finished up. I got my passenger side spark plugs all done, got my air intake back on. Total time it took me 2 hours and 34 minutes. When I talked to the dealership, the shop, before I started this project, they were going to charge me 3 hours of labor to a total of $400 to change my spark plugs. I bought the plugs for 80 bucks. It was $5 a piece, 16 plugs, and I did it myself. Well, this is the second time I did it, but you know, it takes about 2.5 hours, and that's with no experience. So if you want to save yourself about 320 bucks, you know, it's not hard to do it yourself, and good luck.